Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Thriving Minds podcast with your host, Walter Parada, where we strive to provide you with empowering talks so you can live to thrive. Remember, if you enjoy these empowering talks, make sure to subscribe to our podcast and our YouTube channel. I hope you find yourself in the right frame of mind, focusing on all the things within your control. All right, so as you know, this podcast is focused on personal development. And we're going to dive a little bit deeper into what exactly that means and how it can benefit you. So, we're all aware that personal development is an ongoing process of improving yourself. It's something that enhances who you are in many different aspects of your life. Things like communication, being more disciplined, having more initiative, developing a certain skill, being more productive, having better relationships, gaining relevant knowledge that you can use. All these things and more can improve your perspective. And these are just a few things related to personal development. Really, it's anything related to yourself that becomes better, where it's about realizing the power that you do have and using it in meaningful ways that further empowers you, giving you a higher sense of confidence and independence. Having that feeling that you can take on whatever comes your way and you're going to overcome it. And that's our purpose at Thriving Minds, by focusing on strengthening and conditioning the mind so you can thrive. And it all starts with the mental aspect. For you to be better in anything, it's making a conscious effort, identifying what needs to be done on your end, and consistently taking action towards making it happen. Those things within your control and ensuring that you're doing what you set out for. This provides you with clarity of where you want to be or what you want to do. That gives you the right perspective so you have the right attitude that works for you. You might notice that we consistently mention just that what works for you. We're conscious that it's not a one size fits all where you follow a certain plan and you're guaranteed results, because everyone's aim, their drive, the way they want to handle themselves, their personality, and what they consider success is different. So that affects each person's roadmap, and it makes sense why it's called personal development, because the development approach needs to fit you. It needs to be tailored to ensure that it's working for you. Just like a pair of shoes, right? Just because certain successful people, high achieving people wear a size 14 doesn't mean it's the right fit when really you're a size 9.5. So the things that we and others mention that has worked in achieving what we want or helped us along the way are simply ideas that might fit you, something that you might want or need. It's just about figuring out, is this something that can help me or enhance me in any way? And if it doesn't, no big deal. Just keep searching for that specific formula. Maybe it's taking different pieces here and there and making it your own. This could be one reason why personal development is off-putting, because following another person's roadmap that's worked for them may not work for you gives the impression that it's just based on the traits that we're born with. So it's predetermined how well we're going to do. This can give the perception that it's just snake oil, buying into something that does not work. The emphasis on the end results, to get big results, to get validation from external factors, to get the same expected results, or just being so focused on the future that it makes the present less enjoyable. And that makes sense. That kind of drains the whole process of wanting to do it. Or maybe it's because personal development might seem threatening, giving an indication that you're not good enough. And this sense of inadequacy triggers that defensiveness in us that makes us dispel and get far away from the source that makes us feel that way. Generally, we all want to feel good about ourselves, and personal development can be seen as intrusive that makes us unsettled. Sometimes this can be good because it drives us to take action, but it also can cause anxiety because of feeling out of sorts, trying to chase something that can be very overwhelming. These are all valid points because it can come off that way, making it an all or nothing approach. But personal development or personal growth can be a very satisfying journey if focused internally on what matters to you, to be better in the areas that you choose and not what others tell you. You know, when others tell us what to do and we do it when we really don't want to, it makes us feel disempowered, that others are running our lives with no input from what we want. And this is where personal development can bring out the great things about you that makes it rewarding. In essence, it's about making the progress in the areas of your life that you want. If you want to improve your financial literacy, but not your communication skills, then go for it. There's nothing wrong with that. More power to you. It's not about improving every area of your life, just the ones that you deem most important. One of the immediate impacts of wanting to improve yourself is better handling and navigating the situation that you're in, where when adversity strikes, it is seen more as an opportunity instead of, how could this have happened? When seeing challenges as opportunities, it gets you thinking how to overcome them. What's the solution to this? And it's not focused on why did this happen that can quickly snowball into finding reasons why you didn't deserve this. That doesn't matter. You know, it keeps a person stagnant in that stage. But with an improved perspective, a stronger mind to continually get better, it empowers you to do something about it. This naturally builds initiative and brings out that resourcefulness that makes the hard times more manageable. Because of this outlook, it allows you to take larger steps that can be very scary, but it's back with your confidence that you'll rebound and figure things out if adversity hits. You'll be more prone to take things on that are harder, that builds a higher tolerance to discomfort and uncertainty that develops your composure. So when you want to make changes for the better, you're able to silence the doubt that's trying to scare you into staying in place, knowing that even though the transition can be rough, it's what's necessary to get you ahead. You know, things like getting out of a bad romantic relationship, even though the transition phase can be difficult, where maybe now you have to find your own place. Maybe you have lost financial support from ending the relationship and now you're isolated. Those things can be enough for staying in that relationship, but ultimately it's what's going to hold you back. So it's being able to muster up enough belief in yourself that you'll find a way to overcome that difficult period. In choosing to embrace a life of personal development or personal growth, you'll better understand what you dislike to get further away from it and spend more time on what you do like that makes your day more enjoyable. It's a simple process of elimination. Knowing what you dislike helps you identify what not to spend your time doing, so you have more time to do what you do like. Many of us have probably been at that point in our lives, not knowing what we want because of being bombarded with so much information on what we should spend our time doing. This could be things like eventually going to college to satisfy your parents and just kind of trying to figure your way out what you're going to study, but not really into it. Or maybe it's getting a job that's tolerable but unsatisfying. But by identifying those dislikes and your likes, you clearly draw the line of what's acceptable and unacceptable to you, so you can move on quicker instead of just lingering around. This then leads to knowing what's important to you that forms your values, and these values drive you to do what you do. To know what you stand for that makes you more confident and live with greater conviction. This leads to making more small decisions, that leads to making better decisions, that leads to making bigger and better decisions. The result is higher quality progress in your life. By knowing what's important to you and knowing your values, many decisions are aligned with them through the process of elimination. You know, you're filtering through the obvious things that do not meet your criteria. And if one of your values is mutual respect, you know to move on from people or situations that are demeaning. Small decisions like if your peers are making jokes at the expense of others that are hurtful, you know to either speak up to those being disrespectful or get away from them. And the more you do this, the better decisions you'll make. So those small decisions start to add up. And then maybe you could be in a situation where you're at a job you dislike because of the lack of professionalism, to then saying, you know what? I'm not going to tolerate this. I'm going to quit and find another job. And eventually you're going to find that right work environment that leads to greater satisfaction. Typically, this happens as you progress in life. But the more that this is delayed for later, the more frustrating life can feel, because it seems like time is eating away at the opportunities that are presented, but it won't be clear why it feels that way. And then this creates deeper self-awareness where you can reflect to better process what you experience. Think of some of the rougher days that you might have gone through. What do you typically do to handle it, to kind of offset it? Maybe it's hang out with friends and family, watch TV, be on your phone, eat your favorite foods. All these provides relief to help counter the day. But when you take the time to be alone and work through the events, it gives you time to accept what happened that makes it less bothersome or painful. So each time rough days or moments are experienced, they are less intense, better processed, and avoid building up those repressed thoughts and emotions that prevents a huge blow up. And this is going to be key to handling adversity, because instead of trying to hide from it, you deal with it straight on. That actually gives you valuable information that can improve the next time you're in that situation. This prevents you from making the same mistakes over and over again. And that alone is where significant progress occurs. Remember, if you enjoy these empowering talks, make sure to subscribe to our podcast and our YouTube channel. It's so interesting how much information about ourselves is right in front of us, but for whatever reason, we miss seeing it. Maybe it's done intentionally to avoid replaying some of the pain, the first time, or because we simply are unaware of it. If we could just aim to review what happened, we'll find those areas that we can improve on that are simple enough to correct. Think of the feedback that many athletes get when they watch their performance on film, with their coaches and their teammates. Coaches are there to identify specific information and explain what exactly needs to be done that improves an athlete's chance of performing well the next time. So coaches ideally will go over what was done well, what needs more improvement, and the overall assessment of how everyone performed, so the players understand what they each need to focus on to get better at. And they'll follow through with it with actual coaching, where they demonstrate and guide the athlete what specifically they need to know to do. Now, this is a bit much for us to do individually, but it's the same concept. When you give yourself enough time to reflect on what happened, you get specific information that you can use. This is why personal development is so transformative, because it's about shaping your internal world so you can thrive, so you can operate with your great qualities and let go of what others think you should be doing. It's finding the path, that specific way of living that is fulfilling, where as long as it's good enough for you, you don't need anyone else to confirm, to give their validation, because what you think is what really matters. It's knowing that you can avoid comparisons with others and just live the life that you want. And this creates greater meaning that gives you that much more satisfaction, where the rough days are less rough and those great days are cherished even more. That makes living so much more memorable. The further that you go down this path, you'll eventually find your purpose that makes your days fulfilling, where it's not about the end results, but what you choose to do every day, where you often lose track of the time and maybe even the days because you're so caught up in just enjoying the moment. And this creates optimism that enhances your well-being, that reminds you of what's important to you, driven by the values you hold, that further empowers you to take on whatever comes your way. It's knowing that even when you're not at your best, that's fine. And it's a good reminder to reset and refocus, that growth is non-linear, that when setbacks occur, it's really an opportunity to evaluate and better digest things where it's less intense. Through all this, no matter what area you choose to develop in, the commonality is that you learn. It's gaining knowledge that makes comprehension greater because of the relevant information that was acquired, where you had to do the work, and while that can seem like a drag, it can be very rewarding, just like working out or doing house chores. Maybe it's not something that you look forward to doing, but once you get started and see the progress that's made, it can make you feel good. So whether it's learning something that you're unfamiliar with or building on top of what you already know, it's an ongoing process of adding valuable information that better equips you to excel in. You could improve your communication to better engage with your customer base that drives higher sales. Or you could further improve your cooking skills through learning new techniques, new recipes and cuisines. When you seek to learn or further your knowledge of something, it further develops your initiative that strengthens discipline and has you actively engaged. This just makes progress so much more natural instead of like a nuisance. And that just makes whatever you decide to improve on enjoyable. Think of some things that naturally gets your attention and then you're digging into it further. Maybe it's a video game that catches your attention and then you're looking into it and finding something interesting about the origins of the game with a fascinating backstory to the concept. And then next thing you know, there goes an hour of researching more about the game. It leaves you with a thirst for more. And this is learning. This is personal growth where your mind is actively engaged, working to simply satisfy your curiosity. See, learning is not just go to class and take in a bunch of information and regurgitate it on a test, but when you can actively dig into it, actively question, explain, teach, and just pick it apart. Those are different aspects of learning that really resonates with you. And with learning comes adaptability. As you're gaining more knowledge, it's making your brain elastic, expanding from its current state that makes you adaptable, open to new ideas and concepts that while they might not be fully understood at the time, it's being layered that is there to reference back to when you might need it. It's basically more tools for you to work with to solve the problems that you might be up against. So you have more options, more possibilities of how to overcome the obstacles in your path. More knowledge acquired increases confidence because of the awareness to at least get started. Someone that has knowledge about how to change a flat tire gives them greater comfort in driving, knowing that if they get a flat tire, they have that reassurance that they'll be able to take care of it. And if they gain a little bit more information about cars, it further empowers them if they have any other type of car issues. So learning more naturally makes you more adaptable because you have potential solutions before you even need it or might even know it. The process of figuring out solutions gets you more experience in adapting to the situation that you're in. This makes you multifaceted. The mind needs to be challenged, and when things go unexpectedly, it's a great opportunity to expand your horizons that brings out your resourcefulness. Personal development kind of has a bad rap, that it's for highly ambitious go-getters in the professional setting that can leave a bad taste where if you're not on board with what we do, then you're lazy. That's part of the all or nothing approach that we need to get away from. Personal growth is not go big or go broke. There's room for all sizes, and one size is not better than another. It's just what's suitable for you. Go ahead and make incremental improvements here and there. And in fact, I would encourage that a lot more than any of these big changes because it's harder for them to stick. So there's no shame in making small progress here and there. Some progress is good progress. As long as you're happy with it, that's all that matters. If you're familiar with the country singer Alan Jackson, he has that song Little Bitty where he says, a little bitty love on a little honeymoon, got a little dish and a little bit of spoon, little bit of house and a little bitty yard, And then he goes on to say, it's all right to be little bitty. And that personifies, as long as you're happy with what you have, no matter how small, it's all right. And people can have an effect on us, making us feel inferior for what they have and what we don't have. But that's exactly how personal growth can benefit you, to develop beyond that. Instead of how we compare to each other and just focus on ourselves, because we have enough in our own lives that needs our attention. Your focus on what others are doing is less energy to focus on making the progress that you want. So feed your own growth, and that's going to starve wanting to see what others are doing. While yes, the changes that you decide to make for the better can be transformational, it's not always these big significant moves that need to be made. A simple change here and there can have a huge impact. Things like going for a daily walk for 20 minutes can improve your overall health, or waking up 15 minutes earlier to give you enough time to get ready for the day can put you in a calm state of mind. Maybe it's daily deep breathing exercises or meditation that helps you reset and get ready for what's ahead. Even things like reducing the portion of your food can keep you trim. And it's just small portions, instead of 2 cups of rice, maybe you have 1 cup of rice and a little bit less meat and maybe a little bit more vegetables. Do this consistently and it adds up to those big results. These types of actions are foundational in your overall development that brings out the great things about you. It just takes a certain routine or specific action to get started. And when you get in that right state of mind, it brings clarity to know what it is that you're after and why that is, which eventually you discover your purpose. And with this, the journey is what makes it fulfilling, breaking free from needing external validation, where you care more about how well you do the little things and are less concerned about the result. Because that's going to be taken care of if you focus on what's right in front of you. When you become more independent of the outcome, it gives you the right balance between relaxed and aware to consistently execute the process at a high level. We all experience pressure, and we need enough of it to get in the right frame of mind, to get us to take action. But too much pressure can lead to overthinking, being tense, that becomes distracting. And too little pressure can lead to being too relaxed, that makes you unaware of what you need to focus on to do well in. Many of us all want to make some sort of progress, which means we long for growth, that we need personal development to help us move forward. Whether it's wanting better grades, wanting a job promotion or a better job, wanting more money, wanting to buy a home, or wanting to buy a new car, all that is facilitated by self-improvement. Sometimes what prevents us from going after what we want is ourselves. The fear of failure is a roadblock that makes us okay staying where we are, because when failure occurs, it initially is seen as you're not good enough. But personal development is a great resource that changes that perspective from thinking that you're not good enough to then seeing it as a treasure filled with a bunch of answers that just requires asking the right questions. It's sorting through it all to determine its worth. And this brings down the defensiveness that we all are wired for, to see things more objectively, that manages our emotions much better so we can make better decisions. That mental obstacle of failure, driven by our emotions, is a huge reason why we find ourselves stuck. Excuses are a big thing we tend to hide behind because it deflects responsibility, but that means foregoing the power that we do have to do what we really want. Common things that might be said are, I don't know how to do what I want. I'm not smart enough. I'm not big enough, not strong enough, not tough enough. Those are things that we might say to avoid experiencing failure. It gives us that pass of not even trying. See, but when you're focused on self-improvement with enough failure experienced, it means an opportunity to develop and strengthen your resiliency, your grit and your composure that is going to better you in so many different ways. Personal development will benefit you no matter if you have huge ambitions of moving mountains or if you want to get ahead in life where you no longer have to live paycheck to paycheck, where you have some savings and then you have some investments and then you can be able to own a house or a business. Or if you want to improve your health, to improve your relationships, to just be a better person because it makes life more satisfying. So make sure to embrace it so you can thrive. I just want to remind you that we're a little over a month before launching the holographic Talking Face app. So be on the lookout for that. We'll let you know as the updates arrive. Remember, if you want to be one of the first users, sign up to become a member at www.thrivingminds.live. It's your personal development resource so you can build that right mindset so you can live to thrive. I hope you enjoyed this episode. All right, until next time.